Yes. Whoa. All right. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to BayernNow, the ultimate Bayern Munich fan channel. So we have a lot to talk about. Oliver Kahn, who is now one of the board members for Bayern, who, you know what? If I heard the name Oliver Kahn saying something about Bayern, you'd think it was a pundit, but he's actually a very important figure at the club, and he's going to be taking on a big role starting in 2021 or 2022. So he was talking about financial fair play with an interview with Goal, and he actually pretty much said a few things that I was like, you know what? I agree with you. I agree with you, Oliver. I agree with you. Not just because you're a Bayern legend, but because you know the situation in the footballing world. Financial fair play is something that we know Man City broke, PSG broke, every single club. A lot of the clubs that you're seeing just with all this astronomical figures in terms of money, they broke financial fair play. Man City fans, we didn't break anything. Nah, you weren't a club. No one really knew who you were until, a little bit of money got pumped into your club. And you had this little situation with the lawsuit. And you're like, we were found innocent. Yeah, innocent. Yeah, that we know UEFA are known for their, fairness, and everything they do is very fair. The CAS, we all know they're very fair. They always get things right. They never, get bribed or anything. They've never been found cheating on certain things. But Oliver Kahn talking about Bayern, he says it makes it harder for the club to basically win Champions Leagues because, of course, the financial fair play situation means that there's so many teams that are spending way more money than Bayern. What I got from that was that Bayern aren't going to be making big name signings just for the sake of it. Of course, we could be doing it, but mainly signings that elevate us as a club in terms of putting us at a level that we need to keep staying at, while also increasing the playing quality, while also keeping us competitive domestically and internationally and globally. Bayern are a global brand, like he said, but it's very important that we focus as well on the Champions League and in the domestic league. Bayern don't only want to be competitive in the Bundesliga, we also have to be competitive and pretty much challenge for the Champions League season in, season out. And that's something that I wanted to hear, right? We are a global brand. We want to make signings, but it doesn't come to this astronomical figure, right? It doesn't come to that. So financial fair play, right? It's very important that we should get financial fair play. I agree with that. I really do agree with that. And he also mentioned City and PSG by name, saying, you know what? They should be taking financial fair play seriously because there's no way a club like PSG, who was very much unknown in France coming up in the 70s, and then a few years ago they got taken over and all of a sudden they're winning Ligue 1 every single year. It's very different from Bayern, where we actually worked for this. And look, financial fair play I always thought was very limiting. In the Bundesliga, there's a 50+1 rule, which means that an investor / business owner can't own more than 49% of the club. The fans have to own the majority stake, which means any decision that the club makes, the fans can pretty much rescind. And there's memberships, etc., which means the big decisions in the club, including the boards and every single person that's associated with the club, isn't actually being hired by the owners, but rather the fans, right? So many clubs like Man United are owned by businessmen who put their people into their board, and really they put nothing else. And Bayern's board, executive board, is voted in by the members, which is very easy to be in. You're simply invited. And I think it's a very interesting way of looking at it, right? There's a situation where so many clubs are just pumping money into their clubs, but the Bundesliga is very different. It's not like Ligue 1 where we can get a PSG. Leipzig, people look at Leipzig like the German Man City, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard because they don't spend money like Man City do. In fact, they are just where they are because of incredibly good scouting, but because Red Bull built a system to pretty much get around the 50+1 rule and also get around financial fair play. They have players coming in from Salzburg, which isn't actually against the rules. You have players that are coming in from all these different clubs, but it's not like Leipzig are just buying players from Salzburg for $5 on a freaking clearance summer sale. That's not what's happening. Leipzig are actually going through a thorough process of building a club, and that's normal for me. I respect Leipzig. They had Kimmich, man. How they knew at the time that Kimmich was the guy? That's crazy. They had Kimmich. They got Werner for like $2 million. Leipzig have been building this thoroughly and smartly, and that's what a lot of teams that want to be at the top should start doing. Implement great scouting with a little bit of money and you can get there. But we're looking at it, and I think Khan said we have to find a balance for Bayern competing with the other European clubs while also keeping the finances correct and balanced. What Bayern have always been good at, and that's just the one thing we've always been good. We've been great at making sure our books are balanced, which books are your expenses, and your earnings, right? You have to have a balanced book. Real Madrid, their books aren't balanced. They're in debt all the time, right? But that's their club motto. They're never trying to be satisfied financially. Whereas Bayern will want to be at a certain level and certain degree. We're making more money, but we also keep our costs low. We pay our players less while also keeping them here. And I think it's very important to keep that balance while also maintaining a certain bit of arrogance and ambition in the transfer window. I'm not exactly sure what Bayern plan to do in terms of big name signings or big players. We've never been that club to go ahead and get a Neymar or an Eden Hazard, which we were linked to under Pep Guardiola, which actually was one of the reasons that Pep decided to go to City, because they decided to back him. They decided to get him the players that he wanted. Apparently Pep suggested Bayern go ahead and sign Neymar, and Bayern didn't sign Neymar, which is very sad if you look at it and how Neymar is right now. So there is an element of sometimes we can be a little bit too careful. Rafael Varane was this close to Bayern Munich when he came over to Real Madrid. He was this close to Bayern. But you know why we didn't sign him? A couple extra million. We were supposedly offering like 5 million and he was worth 10 million, or Real Madrid then gave up and paid the actual money, which was like 11 million. And that's how they got Varane. That's the type of thing that you have to think about with Bayern. It's not just missing out on key players. It's the timing of missing out on these players as well. Sometimes we can have players that are in their positions and working well, like Ian Robben and Ribery, who were still very good in 2016. But I'd say that we wanted Sané, we wanted De Bruyne, we wanted different players. We did. And we didn't get them, not because of just the money and finances aspect of it, but because I think we felt comfortable with Ian Robben and Ribery, who were getting older. I'd say for me, Robben's the reason I support Bayern, but I would have loved to see Robben leave 2 years before he did, because it just didn't make any sense to continue to use up every single minute of him when we could have signed a younger player with someone that he could pass his ability onto or pass his position onto. And yeah, now we're obviously, we have Leroy Sané in the squad, and it's going to be interesting to see how things go. It's just really, really good for Bayern that we continue to keep the structure of the club while also maintaining the ambition that other clubs seem to have in Europe. And we don't want to have a thin squad. That's something that I don't want to go into next season having. A thin squad is going to be something very, very detrimental. And that means we have to spend money. We need to spend money. Khan knows that. I'm sure Salamans knows that. Brazo, Hassan Salamans, the Pokemon, evolving as always. I'm sure they know that. I'm sure, what's his name? Hayner. I forgot his freaking name. Herbert Hayner. I'm sure he knows that. They understand that the club has a little bit of a depth problem. We've had this problem for a long time, for the last few years. I think 2018 showed just how much we needed players. Last season, Niklas Süle had to come off he had to come into the team against Dortmund to replace Boateng because we were crap. And we've needed players in positions like wing, like central attacking midfielders. There's a reason why we loaned Coutinho and got James. There's a reason, because we didn't have anyone else to fulfill those roles in a different, playing style. And it's very important for the club to realize that, of course, we have players that are in their primes now, but we also have to start thinking ahead. I'd like us to get a striker that potentially could be at the level Lewandowski's at. I trust Zirkzee, but I still think he needs to go to an environment where he's playing week in, week out. The thing with Dortmund that I think they do better than Bayern, despite the fact that I think we both produce just as many youngsters, except we keep ours and people think we poach them from the league, when in reality we keep them. We bought Sané for 8 million. Gnabry for 8 million. He wasn't no brilliant player, just astronomically at a new level. No, he was a player that really wasn't that proven, but we spent our money on him, gave him the chance, and now he's world class. Now he's one of the best in the world. And people will be like, oh, you poached him from Bundesliga clubs. It just doesn't make any sense when Dortmund are spending more money than us within the league. And I think what we need to do then is to mix it with good players. I think we are developing young players, and I like that. I always advocate for them going out on loan because, like I said, Dortmund do it better where they give them time. They give them the game time. They start them. We need to start either loaning young players to different environments. It's not just about loaning them. Right, we're in third Bundesliga, but I'd like them to go to La Liga, to go to the Dutch League, to go to the Premier League, to go to the Bundesliga, most importantly, to go to other clubs and other teams where they have to fight for a spot, where it's maybe easier to get into a team ahead of their striker. Because look, Bayern have Lewandowski. Zirkzee's not going to play over Lewandowski if Lewandowski's fit. Even if Lewandowski's crap for like 10 games, Zirkzee's not going to start because Lewandowski is too important for us. Even if he doesn't score for 10 games in a row, I know he's very important. He's going to be always important. But that's what we have to think about. We have to start implementing. I'd love a loan system. But strategy-wise, we've been doing well with our transfer strategy. And I'm enjoying it. I feel good every time that I feel like we're getting a young player because I know that, okay, we can nurture them through the system. But you know what actually affects young players is the managers. We must not be that club where we sack managers. I agree with that sentiment. But there is a point where a manager can actually ruin your club development for a few years. Niko Kovac was here for an entire season and demoralized all the players. He terrorized us. And he terrorized the football pitch with his, terrorist tactics of just weird play and crossing the ball into the box every second any player got it. Right? It wasn't fun to watch Kovac ball. But what we noticed was that our youngsters, you could tell their development may have stalled. And then Hansi Flick came in. All of a sudden, Zirkzee is getting into the team and scoring goals. Davies kept his consistent run of form. And it just got better and better. And we've been hitting highs. I think, you know what? It's very important for us to win the Champions League. Because it shows that you don't need to be spending hundreds of millions to do it. Man City spent more money than Liverpool. Probably times 5 or times 6 in the last 10 years. Yet Liverpool have a Champions League. And it just shows you that you don't need to be spending an astronomical amount. I think Liverpool, the reason why I respect them so much is because they didn't spend this money they didn't have. They didn't get an investment into their club. In fact, their fans are complaining that their owners don't spend. When in reality, they're just trying to do a good blend of low effort signings, players that aren't really proven, and then in a few years, Klopp can turn them into something. I think that's very important, but you also, like I said, need to mix it with some ambition. But yeah, I don't know. Khan said it very well. I think he pretty much said what I wanted to hear in terms of transfers. He said what I wanted to hear in terms of financial fair play. I think Man City and PSG, what they do is disgraceful. Their fans don't see it. They think it's okay. It's fine to spend 50 million every single year on fullbacks. Yeah, they think it's fine when Pep does it. It just doesn't make any sense. When Pep spends 50 million on a fullback, oh, it's funny, right? It's fine. There's rules there not to be broken. A City fan said, oh, the rules are there to be broken. Look at this. Look how we got around that. They're literally bragging about how they deceived UEFA. And it's disgusting to see, honestly. It's disgusting. Right, when Barcelona spent 100 million, it makes sense because they're Barcelona. When City do it, you're just there like, you don't make that much anyways. And we know their earnings aren't that. No one buys City shirts. Like, I don't see people buying, man. I don't see that many City fans. When people say City don't have fans, it's not that they don't have fans going to the stadium week in, week out. It's the fact that they don't actually have fans. So where is this money coming in from? Bayern Munich are one of the most supported clubs in the world. How the hell is Man City supposedly even close to us in terms of revenue? They don't make that much. The thing is, the people that own City also own their sponsors. They have a big share in their sponsors. So the people that are actually sponsoring City are literally their owners, which means they can give City as much money as they want to spend. And all they do is tell UEFA, that's our sponsorship money. And then UEFA's like, how many shirts do you sell? And then City's like, 1 billion. It's sad when you're offering tickets for a Champions League home game. Man City were literally offering free tickets. How sad is that? Because no one wants to make the effort to go. It's kind of crazy because when City win, no one gives a crap. Like no one cares. Literally no one. Like when City wins something, yeah, they did. But it's just it. When people care about Bayern, when we win something, people are like, oh, farmers, because they care. They care about us winning. We live rent free in their heads. But when City win, we don't care. Well, thank you everyone so much for watching. I think hopefully it makes sense, and we can see Bayern do more and more in the transfer window. But thank you everyone so much for watching. Mia san mia, and peace.